We headed to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's surrounded by the Dinaric Alps and stretches through a narrow valley along the Mijatska River. Getting here was a bit more of an adventure than we expected. We took a bus from neighboring Slovenia and found ourselves sitting in a long line at the border, waiting for passport checks to leave Slovenia. Just when we thought we were on our way, we crossed into Croatia and were greeted by another passport check only moments later. We made it back on the road and were treated to some beautiful scenery, but needless to say, it was a very long travel day. Thankfully, when we arrived in Sarajevo, we were greeted by a lovely apartment that immediately made the journey worthwhile. It was spacious, comfortable, and exactly what we needed after a full day on the road. The next morning, we discovered the beautiful patio just outside the living room, a perfect spot to relax and take in the fresh air. With a comfortable home base, we headed out to discover what makes Sarajevo one of the most unique and intriguing cities in the Balkans. One of the first landmarks we came across was the Sabele, the iconic wooden fountain built in the 18th century during the Ottoman period. Today, the square is also famous for We walked across the iconic Latin Bridge, one of Sarajevo's oldest Ottoman-era bridges spanning the Mijatska River, which has become one of the city's most recognizable landmarks. Crossing to the other side, we strolled along the river, passing mosques, parks, and lively gathering spots with the surrounding mountains rising dramatically in the background. We found our way to the Viking pub, where we grabbed a spot on the patio and soaked up the beautiful weather. It was the perfect place to relax, sample a few local brews, and watch the city go by before we headed home. We joined a free walking tour with Meet Bosnia. The tour lasts about 2 hours, and at the end, you simply tip what you feel the experience was worth, typically around $10 per person. We began by learning about the history of Bosnia and Herzegovina, including the Siege of Sarajevo, which lasted from 1992 to 1996 during the Bosnian War, the longest siege of a capital city in modern history. Although the war ended decades ago, its impact is still very much felt, and many people living here today remember those difficult years firsthand. Wandering through Old Town, we learned how Sarajevo has long served as a crossroads between East and West. In just a short walk, you can see a church honoring Pope John Paul II, the first pope to visit Bosnia, mosques, and a synagogue, a reflection of the city's rich cultural heritage and its reputation as one of the most diverse places in the Balkans. Next, we headed into Sarajevo's Austro-Hungarian district, where the colorful buildings are a striking contrast to the Ottoman architecture of the Old Town. Because of their prime location, these historic apartments occupy some of the city's most desirable real estate. Our next history lesson described one of the most consequential events of the 20th century. In 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary and his wife Sophie were assassinated while riding in their car here in Sarajevo by Bosnian Serb nationalist Gavrilo Princip. We walked to the exact spot of the killing, which set off a chain of alliances and declarations of war that helped spark World War I. Our next stop was Sarajevo's clock tower, home to one of the city's most unique traditions. Unlike most clocks, this one is set so that 12 o'clock corresponds with sunset, an important time in Islamic tradition for prayers and breaking the fast during Ramadan. Because sunset changes throughout the year, the clock must be adjusted regularly. Remarkably, the clockmaker whose shop sits just below the tower has been maintaining and resetting the clock for more than 60 years. After a fantastic tour, we took our guide's recommendation and stopped for a local specialty cevapi, delicious grilled minced meat served with onions and fluffy flatbread. And being back in the land of baklava, we couldn't resist finishing the meal with a few bites of the flaky, syrupy sweetness. On our way home, we came across some ruins, which we learned were part of an old merchant lodging and gathering area. It's fascinating to see reminders of Sarajevo's long history right in the center of the modern streets we had just been walking through. We're going up to the cable car today, and we're finding out firsthand Sarajevo is in a big valley. This is an uphill hike. Sarajevo's cable car was originally built in 1959, but was destroyed during the Bosnian War and rebuilt in 2018. It's one of the city's most popular attractions, and it's easy to see why. The line was long but moved quickly. At around $17 per person, the price was a little steep, but it felt well worth it for the experience. The ride itself takes about 10 minutes and climbs steadily up the mountainside, opening up incredible views over the entire city spread out below. At the top, we made a quick stop by the Olympic rings before heading toward the old bobsled track from the 1984 Winter Olympics. Once abandoned after the war, the track has become an open-air canvas covered in vibrant graffiti, now as much an art installation as a historic site. It was fun to imagine the speed and adrenaline it once held, winding through the forested hillside. Though you can follow the bobsled track and walk all the way down to the city, we chose to hike back up for one more look at the view before taking the cable car back down. Back down in the city, we stopped in to try rakia, the local fruit brandy that's popular across the Balkans and is often infused with different flavors. Many countries have their own version of a regional spirit, but we were pleasantly surprised to find this one was our favorite we've tried so far, especially the blackberry and honey flavors. A smooth and fitting way to wrap up another full day in Sarajevo. Happy birthday, Troy!
Oh, no.
Today is Troy's birthday, and so we are celebrating with castles and good food and beer.
And more importantly, today's my 1-year anniversary on retirement.
Yay! The Yellow Fortress has a small entry fee of just a few dollars per person. It was a small historic lookout that once formed part of Sarajevo's old city defensive walls. It dates back to the Ottoman era and was originally built to help protect the city and monitor the valley below. There isn't much remaining within the complex itself, but it's well worth the entry fee for the views alone. From the top, you get a spectacular panorama of Sarajevo and the surrounding mountains rising dramatically in every direction. We left the Yellow Fortress and walked back down the hill to the White Fortress. The White Fortress is another of Sarajevo's historic lookout points, and it's free to enter with a small cafe nearby if you want a drink while you're taking in the view. Like the Yellow Fortress, there isn't much remaining of the structure itself, but it offers another incredible panorama over the city and surrounding hills. What makes the spot especially powerful is the view over the sprawling cemetery below, with thousands of white tombstones scattered across the landscape. It's a quiet, sobering reminder of the region's recent and complex history and adds a deeper weight to an already stunning viewpoint. We made our way to Pub Vučko, a local spot named after Sarajevo's beloved 1984 Winter Olympics mascot. It's also known for its huge selection of local and regional craft beers, making it a great stop to continue the celebration of Troy's birthday and grab a delicious lunch. That night, we continued the celebration at Kibe Mahala, a hillside restaurant perched above Sarajevo. After climbing another 2 stories up to the restaurant, we were rewarded with sweeping views over the city that only grew more magical as the sun began to set. We celebrated with wine, beautifully cooked dishes, music, and finished with a standout take on apple pie for dessert. Not quite ready to end the night, we walked down the hill and made our way to Zlatna Ribica, an eclectic antique-filled bar tucked away in Sarajevo's city center. We had one last drink to finish off the celebration after an incredible day in a city full of surprises. The next day, we headed out of the old town to visit the Avaz Twist Tower, a modern high-rise with a distinctive curved design, making it one of the city's most recognizable contemporary buildings. There's an observation deck with an entrance fee on the 36th floor, but we opted for the cafe on the 35th floor instead. For the price of a coffee, we got the same sweeping views, a nice, budget-friendly alternative. Today is a Sunday, and you'd think we know by now that traveling on a Sunday is a little bit more challenging than on a weekday.
Yeah, we stood at the bus stop for more than half an hour with the bus that we wanted to take or needed to take supposed to be stopping every 4 to 6 minutes, and it never came. So alternative bus, went as far as we could, and then we had to take a taxi. That was a little more than we thought, but talk about the surprise you experienced.
I thought that we were hiking for like a few hours today, which we would have been if we got off the bus where we were supposed to. But because we took the taxi,
we were 5 minutes away from the entrance.
We hiked for 5 minutes, and now hike is over.
So we'll hike a little longer on the way back and see what happens.
But it's a beautiful place. It's just lovely to walk around and enjoy the spring and the water and the lush greenness. So it's a great trip still, just not quite what we were expecting today. The entrance fee was just a little over $3 per person. This natural spring is at the source of the Bosna River. The park is known for its crystal clear spring water and shaded walking paths. There were quite a few people there given it was a Sunday, but the place is nicely spread out, so it never felt crowded.
Well, according to the map, the river goes into the mountain way up there, and it pops out in these places, and there's a few of them around. And then it collects into the river that goes into town. Pretty cool. Sure wish I could get in. The water looks great and cool and nice, and you're not allowed to get in.
Swimming is not allowed in the spring to protect the ecosystem and because the spring contributes to the city's drinking water. There are also plenty of other posted rules throughout the park, like no littering, no alcohol, and no picking the flowers. But my favorite was the very specific reminder not to graze your cattle in the park, which makes me wonder how many times that had to happen before they finally put up a sign about it. As we wandered through the park, we enjoyed watching the ducks and swans gliding across the clear spring water. There's a cafe on site, but we packed a lunch and found one of the small covered pavilions scattered throughout the park to sit and eat instead. It was such a calm, peaceful escape, and it was hard to believe we were less than an hour outside the city, surrounded by nature, fresh water, and mountain air. On the way out, we found the long, tree-lined avenue we had accidentally skipped on the way in. We saw horse-drawn carriages roll past as an alternative to the walk. As we made our way back toward the bus, we spotted a Taco Bell. Not something we've seen abroad, and definitely unexpected in a place where even McDonald's doesn't have a presence. When we got back to town, we stopped at a recommended spot called Sach for the local dish burek, some of the best that we've had. We visited the Gazi Husrev-beg Museum, with a combined ticket for the museum and the mosque across the street costing about $10 per person. Gazi Husrev-beg was an Ottoman governor in the 16th century who funded many of the city's most important buildings that still shape the Sarajevo Old Town today. The museum tells the story of his legacy and showcases artifacts from Sarajevo's Ottoman past, offering a fascinating look at the city's history and cultural development. Just outside, a memorial wall serves as a sobering reminder of the people who lost their lives during the Bosnian War. We walked across the street to the Gazi Husrev-beg Mosque, the largest and one of the most important historic mosques in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Completed in 1531, it's been a centerpiece of Sarajevo's Old Town for nearly 500 years. In the courtyard outside, the fountain with its ornate wooden canopy serves as a place for ritual washing before prayer and has become one of the mosque's most recognizable features. Inside, the mosque is both grand and peaceful. Sunlight filters through the high windows, illuminating the intricate calligraphy, geometric patterns, and soaring dome overhead. Despite its size, the space feels remarkably serene, offering a quiet contrast to the busy streets just outside. We continued on to the Sarajevo City Hall, a stunning landmark that serves both as a working civic building and a museum open to visitors. The entrance fee was about $6 per person. Completed in 1896 during the Austro-Hungarian period, the building blends colorful geometric designs, soaring arches, and delicate decorative details throughout. The centerpiece is the magnificent stained glass dome, which fills the interior with natural light and creates a gorgeous first impression as soon as you step inside. The grand central hall is especially beautiful, and visitors can also peek into the city council chambers, which remain in use today. One exhibit pays tribute to Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, whose final official engagement in Sarajevo took place here just before they took that fateful car ride, resulting in their assassination later that day. The upper floors of this building now house rotating modern art exhibitions, adding a contemporary touch to this historic building. Just across the river is the so-called House of Spite. According to local legend, its owner was the last person willing to give up his property for construction of the city hall. He agreed to move only if his home was dismantled and rebuilt brick by brick on the opposite side of the river, where it still stands today. Our last stop in Sarajevo was a cozy little restaurant called Gjeveri. Stepping inside felt like traveling back in time, with rustic wooden decor and a warm old-world atmosphere. We started with their famous homemade bread, which absolutely lived up to the hype. For my main course, I ordered the goulash, while Troy went with the restaurant's signature rolled steak.
That's tasty.
Every bite was fantastic. It was the perfect final meal and a fitting way to end our time in this unique and charming city.